everybody. I hope you're all well. I hope you can hear me okay. Feel free to let me know if you can't. Thanks so much for joining me this evening, and thank you to Iconic Offices for hosting this event. Our practice this evening, so it'll be a yoga practice. We're going to be focusing mostly on the back body. So that kind of includes our neck, our upper back, along the spine, as well as the kind of hamstrings and calves. So a lot of back work. It's suitable for everybody. But of course, if you have an injury or you're healing from something, or maybe you haven't practiced yoga in a while, if you're feeling a little bit creaky or anything, of course, just take it slow. Everything I say in class, in every yoga class, is just an invitation. So you're totally welcome to leave out entire poses and to rest whenever you want to. So just a reminder to kind of listen to your body and just kind of try drop back into what feels good for you rather than what you think you should be doing. So just a reminder, it did say in the description, I was going to ask that you have a couple of yoga blocks. If you don't have blocks, that's fine. You could just have a book, a couple of books, just something to sit on really. And then we'll also be using a yoga strap. And again, if you don't have a strap, no stress at all. You can use like literally a t-shirt. So I have a belt here beside me, but if you don't have a yoga belt, you can literally just use like an actual stretchy t-shirt is perfect as well. So we are going to begin lying down in your own time. So you can come to lay down on your back. And say for example, you just want to get comfortable, you're welcome to maybe pop a pillow behind your head. When you lie on your back, for a lot of us, bending the knees and keeping the feet on the floor is the most comfortable way of lying. So we're going to begin lying down. We'll have a bit of grounding, a bit of self-reflection, and then we'll start to kind of move into our poses, our sequence to explore and open up the back of the body. And then we're going to wind down. We'll take a long Shavasana. And then from there, we will finish a few minutes early just to give you a chance to ask any questions at the end of class, if you want to, obviously, no pressure. But if there's anything you want to ask or get my feedback on or share with me, we'll have time for that as well. So in your own time, I'm coming to lay down on your back. As I mentioned, you might pop a pillow behind your head. You might keep your hands on your body or down by your sides. If it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, you can close your eyes softly now. And just giving yourself a couple of deep breaths, breathing in through your nose. And breathing out through your mouth. And just as you exhale in this way, be aware of your physical body as it rests back on the ground. And rather than holding or lifting yourself, think about just passing your body weight to your mat beneath you. So just thinking about making a little bit less effort. And just trying to relax your calves, relaxing your thighs, softening your pelvis and your hips. And then just releasing along your back muscles, your shoulders, and the weight of your arms. Let go of any tension in your belly, in your chest. Relax around your throat and your neck. And maybe separating your teeth, relaxing your jaw, relaxing your tongue. And just allowing your eyes to rest back in your head. And finally, relaxing the weight of your skull. So just using these couple of moments at the start of your class to just kind of gradually welcome yourself here. And you might just acknowledge what kind of day you've been having. Or what kind of week you're having. And maybe observe however your physical body is feeling this evening. And then from there, just starting to pay attention to your breathing. And you don't have to control or change your breath just yet, but breathing in and out through your nose. Maybe noticing initially where you can feel your breath. Where is your breath moving in your body? Where is responding to your breath? And then you might like to just start to invite your breath a little bit deeper into your belly. And as you breathe in, just allowing your belly to expand and open. As you breathe out, relaxing your belly muscles, you maybe draw back your navel in towards your spine. Breathing in, opening up your belly, expanding into your hips and lower back. Exhale, belly relaxes, navel draws back. And just a few more breaths like this, slow and steady, down into your belly. Exhaling slow and steady out of your belly. And just continuing like that at your own pace. And then in your own time, starting to breathe in a little bit more into your sides. Breathing out, feeling your ribs relax and feeling your belly button draw back. Inhaling, expanding into belly, into sides, into your back muscles. Exhaling, ribs relax, belly relaxes. And just a few more breaths like this. You don't have to breathe so deep that it feels awkward for you. Just a comfortable, steady pace of breathing. And final couple of breaths. Slow and even. And we're going to begin to move now a little bit. So whenever you feel like you're ready to move, you might like to start to stretch out into your wrists, maybe lifting your arms overhead. Take a full body stretch, a big yawn and a big sigh as you just kind of gradually wake yourself up. Big long stretch. Brilliant. And then from here, if it feels okay for your back, you might bend your knees in towards you and just give yourself a bit of a squeeze. You can hold on to your hamstrings or you can hold on to your kneecaps. And just a little squeeze there with your arms. Feel the back of your hips on the floor. From here, we're going to lay the left leg out flat on the ground. So hands are going to stay now interlaced on just the right shin or the right hamstring, and just gently lifting your thigh up and in towards you. And just breathing in and out. Try not to, overly tense your upper body or your jaw. And you might even circle your right ankle a couple of times while you're here. A couple of times one way, a couple of times the other way. And then if it feels okay for your back, start to engage your core, curl your head and shoulders off the mat as if you're going to bring your nose or your forehead towards your right knee. So use your arms, but also use your core strength and just lifting up and in for a breath or two. And then you can carefully lay your head back on the ground, bend in your left knee, so opposite knee, and stretch out your right leg. So just laying now with your right leg flat, hands interlaced around the left leg, hugging up and in, big squeeze with the arms. Slightly bring your chin down to your chest so the back of your neck is long. And then you might start to circle your left ankle a few times one way. And then a few times the other way. How do your feet feel? How do your shins and calves feel? And then from here, using your arms, holding on nice and firmly, lifting yourself up and in, as if your nose or forehead are going to touch your knee. A nice firm grip, breathing into your back. Excellent. Carefully lay your head back on the ground. Hug both knees in again, maybe cross your ankles, and just give yourself another little rock from side to side. Just noticing how your lower back and pelvis are feeling. Brilliant. And when you feel like you're ready to come up, you can very gently roll off to one of your sides, doesn't matter which. Push your hand into the floor and bring yourself up towards your hands and knees. So just coming into like the center of your mat, depending on where that is for you. And we'll find a tabletop position. So wrists come beneath your shoulders, knees come beneath your hips, and make sure your knees are hip width apart so they're not together, just a little bit of a gap in between your knees. From here, pushing down into your hands, we're going to inhale, start to arch your spine. So lift your chest, lift your tailbone, lovely stuff, stretch your chin up as well. And then exhaling, rounding your back, chin to chest, tailbone tucks under. Breathing in, arching your back. Breathing out, rounding. We'll go 3 more. Last 2, big breath in. Big breath out. Once more. Super stuff. Next time you're in a rounded spine, hold it there. Push down into your hands. Bring your chin to your chest or your tailbone between your legs. And just pausing here, breathing for 2. Trying to dome shape your back. So really stretch into the inner vertebrae. And then carefully release your spine. Brilliant stuff. From here, we're going to tuck the toes. Just for a moment, sitting back into the toe squat. So most people's, not their favorite pose anyway. We won't be here for too long. If it's very painful, you can come off your feet and sit back onto your feet for a moment. So tucking your toes, just rolling the wrist out a few times, just in preparation for some sun salutations. Lovely stuff. So big rolls with the wrists. Take 1 or 2 more breaths, expanding into your sides, maybe rolling the wrist the opposite way. Brilliant. And then from here, assuming you are still tucked, you can point your toes back, sit your hips onto your heels, and then I'm going to ask that you take your hands, interlace them at the back of your head. So just a couple of neck stretches. So pressing your head back into your hands. As you breathe in, push your head back, spread your elbows apart. Exhale, rounding your chin to your chest, bring your elbows together. We'll go for 3 more. Breathe in, elbows open, chest lifts, heart opens. Exhale, rounding. Notice how your back feels. 2 more. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. And out. Well done. In your own time, bring your head back up. You can take your hands down to your thighs. Make your way slowly to stand on your 2 feet. So coming towards the front of your yoga mat, I'm going to push some of my props out of the way. So coming to stand tall at the top of your mat. Really nice. Excellent. So we'll have a look down at your feet. Depending on what feels good for your hips, you could step your feet hip width apart, or you could step with your inner feet touching, whatever feels more comfortable for you. And just bear in mind, if you have socks on, it can sometimes be slippy on a yoga mat. So just in case you have socks still on. And then from here, just standing tall, shrugging your shoulders back and down, maybe stretch your fingertips towards the floor. We're going to take a few rounds of stepping sun salutations. So there's a low lunge in these. So just bear in mind if that's okay for your kneecap. You might want to pop a blanket or something in the center of your mat if you have sensitive knees. When you feel like you're ready to move on, so we'll take the first 2 pretty slow. Sweep your arms out to the sides, lift your chin and look up. Breathe in here as you stretch up through your fingertips. And then breathe out, bend your knees and start to forward fold. Hands come towards the floor. If you need to bend your knees a good bit to get your hands down, that's absolutely fine. Bend your knees a good bit. Let the weight of your head hang. Scooch your navel back in a little bit to support your lower back. And then from here, we'll step just the right foot back and place your right knee on the floor, preparing for a low crescent lunge. So we'll inhale to sweep the arms forwards. We come up in a big kind of C shape, big moon shape. And then we'll exhale, bring hands down to the mat. From here, tuck your right toes, lift your right knee off the floor, and then step your left foot back. So you're in a high plank position. Do your best to stretch back into the heels, draw your navel up and in. Well done. And when you're ready to come down, you can bend your 2 knees all the way to the mat. Bend your elbows nice and slowly, so belly, chest, and chin come to the ground. Draw down your tailbone with your hands kind of beneath your shoulders. Squeeze your elbows back. We'll breathe in, come into a cobra, so navel stays on the floor. Exhale out of cobra, chest back down. We'll breathe in, push up to the knees, then tuck your toes and lift your hips up, knees come off the floor, downward facing dog. So you might like to take a few moments to bicycle your legs slowly here. Try to keep your hands flat, the weight of your head heavy. 2 more breaths. If you find there's a lot of pressure in your back or shoulders, it's a good idea to bend your knees and stretch your belly back towards your thighs. And then in our next moment, we'll be stepping just the right foot forward. So you might need to use a hand to get your foot there. Step your foot to wherever it lands, and then using your right hand, if necessary, to place your foot towards the front of your mat. Left knee is on the floor this time. We'll breathe in to sweep the arms forward and up, low crescent lunge. Exhaling, hands down. Lift your back knee off the floor, pivot off the back foot, and step the left foot beside the right foot. Bend your knees, relax your back, big exhale here. When you're ready to come up to stand, lift your chin, sweep your arms out and up over the crown of your head, stretching up through your fingertips. And then we'll exhale, hands into your heart center. Well done. We'll take another round like that. Moving slowly, breathe in, arms sweep up, press your hips a little forward. Exhaling, knees bend, hands towards the floor, head becomes heavy. Stepping just your left foot back, left knee to the floor. On an inhale, sweep your arms forward and up, low crescent lunge. Allow the hips to drop forward if that feels okay for your back. And then we'll exhale, hands down. With your back toes tucked and your back knee off the floor, inhale, step your right foot back, plank pose. And then exhaling, knees, chest, and chin to the ground. Inhale, bring your chest forward and through cobra. So tailbones on the floor, thighs are really, really active. And then we'll exhale, push to the knees, and then downward facing dog. Holding downward dog, returning to your breathing. So inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Maybe you want to continue to bicycle your feet if that feels good. Let the weight of your head relax, relax your jaw. Remember, at any time, you can pop your knees on the floor and come in towards a child's pose. Couple more breaths here. Slow breath in, slow breath out. When you feel like you're ready to move on, it'll be your left foot stepping through. So bend your left knee, step your foot forward, use your left hand to place your foot at the front of your mat. Right knee down, we'll inhale, sweep forward and up, heart opens. Exhaling, hands down. Lift your back knee, pivot forward, step to the front of your mat, 2 feet parallel. Bend your knees, relax your back. Inhale, sweeping your arms out, lifting your chin up. Come to stand, hands over your head. Exhaling, hands to your heart center. Well done. We're going to take 2 more like that. Brilliant. When you feel like you're ready to move on, we'll move a tiny bit quicker, not super quick, but a little bit quicker. So breathe in, sweep out and up. Breathe out, fold. Right foot steps back, right knee to the floor. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, hands to the mat. Inhale, step left foot back into plank. Exhale, knees, elbows bend, chest and chin to the floor. Inhale, cobra, pelvis stays on the ground. Exhale, shifting back, downward facing dog. Holding downward dog for 5 breaths, or resting in child's pose if you prefer. So even inhale, even exhale. Hands are shoulder width, knees are hip width, feet are hip width. Calm your breathing, inhaling and exhaling. When you're ready to move on, right foot steps forward, using a hand if you need it. Left knee down, breathe in, arms sweep up and back. Exhale, step forward and fold. Inhale, arms reach out and up. Exhaling to your heart. Last round. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left knee back, left knee to the floor. Arms sweep up and back. Exhaling, hands down. Breathe in, step back to plank. Exhale, knees, chest and chin to the mat. Breathe in, come forward, chest lifts up. Well done, cobra. Exhaling, downward facing dog. 5 breaths in downward facing dog. Breathing in through your nose. Breathing out through your nose. Remember, you can come down onto your shins and rest. Breathe in. and out. Breathing in and out. In your own time, left foot stepping forward, right knee to the ground. Breathe in as you sweep up and back. Exhale as you step forward and fold. Inhaling, chin lifts, arms sweep up. And then exhaling, hands to your heart. Well done, everyone. Take a couple of breaths where you are. I'm going to invite you now to take your hands behind your back, interlacing your fingers. See how it feels to maybe stretch the elbows down a little bit. If that feels quite uncomfortable, keep your elbows bent. Exactly, so either stretch into the elbows or keep them a little bit bent. We're going to take a standing forward fold, and I'm going to ask that you step your feet hip width apart. Brilliant stuff. Inhale, stretch your hands down to the floor, bend your knees, and then as you exhale, I'm just going to step back a little bit so I'm not becoming camouflage with the chair behind me. So step your feet apart, bend your knees, and as you exhale, you can start to slowly forward fold. You know, for some of this feels like a very tight and tense position, so we'll take some of that pressure off by bending the knees a lot. Scoop back your lower belly. See if you can let the weight of your head hang. Well done. We'll take 2 more breaths here, pressing down into your inner feet, your outer feet. Lift and spread your toes. When you feel ready to move on, weight comes back into your heels, stretch your hands back, coming back up to standing. Well done. Step your feet together, relax your hands down by your hips, roll your wrists out a few times if they feel a little bit tired. And then in your own time, we're going to come back into downward dog, and we're going to take a bit of a quad opener. So if you happen to have sensitive knees, I'm just going to grab a jumper here to use as a cushion. So if you happen to have sensitive knees, you're welcome to get yourself a cushion or a blanket or something to rest your knee on, basically. So you can leave that beside your mat, step yourself into downward facing dog. And when you're ready in downward dog, we're going to lift up the right leg, turn the toes out or open up the hip. So you swing your leg open as high as it will go. And then if you like, you can bend your knee and squeeze your heel in towards your hip. So this is sometimes called scorpion. And then from here, we're going to step the right foot forward, placing the left knee down. And it's possible that you're going to be popping your left knee on your cushion or on your support. Take your right hand now to your right thigh. Left hand, I'll just turn at an angle. Left hand is on the inside of your leg. With your right hand on your thigh, just think about shrugging back your right shoulder, kind of turning your front, turning your chest towards that front leg. See if the shoulders can descend a little bit. Bring some awareness now into the back of your body. Breathing in, breathing out. We still want your right knee pointing forward and not turning off to the side. So right knee is still looking towards the front of your mat. Now you have an option of staying here. This is quite a deep lunge for a lot of us. So feel free to stay here, or you have the option of bending your back knee. You don't have to do anything else. You can just bend the knee and work on that action. Or you could bend your knee and also reach your right hand back. Maybe your foot's not within reach today. That's totally fine. You could rest that hand on your lower back. You could try reach maybe for the hamstring. Or if you are able to catch your foot, just take a grip of your foot, inner or outer foot. Generally, we'd catch the pinky toe edge. We're just going to hold here for a few more moments. Notice if the front knee has twerked out. Can you turn the front knee forward again? Breathing in and out of the quads, or your quads even. Well done. It's quite a strong stretch for many of us. We'll let go of the back foot. We'll take the right arm forward again. 2 hands to the floor. Sit your hips back a little bit, so you're kind of coming a bit out of your lunge. And then place your hands flat. Tuck your left toes and we'll step straight back into downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. You can move your cushion or pillow to the other side of your mat if you were using it. And then we'll step the left foot forward, softly placing or slowly even placing the right knee down. Resting onto the right fingertips or the right hand, you can pop your left knee or left hand even on your left thigh, just like that, lovely. And then shrug back your left shoulder. Think about twisting a little bit to your left side. That's it, almost looking over the left arm. Make sure your neck feels comfortable though, allowing your hips to drop forward and down. Maybe separate your teeth, relax your mouth. And if anybody wants to try bending their back knee, you're welcome to try. If you want to try reach, you can. Don't worry if it's not within reach this evening, you can rest on your hip. Rest on your hamstring or just stretch the hand back towards your foot. If you're able to catch, go ahead and catch. And we'll take 3 more breaths here. So what we're doing here is we're opening up the quad muscles, the front of the thigh, because when we come into some back bending poses shortly, they're really important. So we just want to loosen them up a little bit, warm them up, help bring a bit of awareness to them so that they can support you really well. Last deep breath. And then releasing left hand to the floor. Super stuff. Pull your hips back a little. Step your left knee back. You can come off your cushion and we'll come for a few moments into child's pose. So bring your knees about the width of your mat. Join your big toes. Sit your hips back towards your feet. And then depending on what feels nice, you might walk the hands forward with the arms straight or long, or bend your elbows and rest your forehead on your arms. We'll just take 3 breaths rest. As you breathe in, expand into your back ribs. As you exhale, try to relax your shoulders. 2 more breaths like that. Breathing in, expanding your back ribs. Exhale, relaxing your shoulders. Last breath, inhale. And exhale. Well done. In your own time, I'm going to invite you to lay on your belly. We're going to be moving into a couple of back bends in a front lying position. So if you do happen to be on quite a hard surface where you want to maybe cushion your front a little bit, you could place a towel or a blanket or a scarf or something in the center of your mat. Otherwise, if you're happy to, come down to lay on your belly. So these initial back bends or these initial poses are specifically for strengthening the back. So it's not necessarily about going super deep, but it's about lifting the body using the back muscles as well as the core. So I'm going to ask that you take your hands in your own time and stretch them out in front of you. So as if you're kind of in a flying position, 2 arms long in front of you. And you can turn your palms in to face each other and lift and stretch your legs back behind you. So your legs are as long as they can go. Now think about drawing your tailbone down between your legs. So really drawing the tailbone down towards your heels, towards your feet. Engage your thighs. And then in your own time, begin to lift just your right arm and left leg. Right arm, left leg. Well done. Look straight ahead or look down. Try to keep your hips and chest level on the floor. Holding for 2. Holding for 1. And then release. Breathe in, lift right leg, left arm. Up and back, up and forward. Breathing for 2. Use your glute muscles, use your shoulders. Breathing for 1, and then relaxing both down. Well done. Take a little rest, stack your hands on top of each other, rest your forehead on your hands, maybe shake the hips from side to side a bit. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And then keeping your hands stacked, so hands stacked on top of each other, forehead resting on your hands. Breathe in now, so draw down your tailbone, same position as before, core is engaged. Start to float your legs and float your elbows and hands off the ground. Your forehead can stay lightly resting on your hands. Breathing here for 2 or 3. Try not to spread the feet too wide apart. Draw the inner legs towards each other. And then exhaling, coming down. Well done. These are, for most of us anyway, quite strenuous. Go easy, take a rest if you want to skip a few. And we'll take arms out to the sides as if you were kind of in a cape. Superwoman pose, maybe Superman pose. So kind of down at kind of a 45-degree angle. We're going to draw the navel in, engage the thighs, breathe in, lift your legs, lift your chest and arms. Super stuff. You can look down or look straight ahead. Lifting the whole back of your body, breathe in, and then breathe out. Well done. Come all the way to your tummy. You can turn onto one of your ears. Well done. From here, we're going to take hands beside the chest. Push yourself up onto your knees and sit your hips back into child's pose. Relax your back, relax your head, take a breath in and a breath out. And now we'll come up towards our shins. So preparing for camel pose. And what we might do in camel, so there's lots of ways of approaching this. If you're not used to back bending or if you're new to back bending, I'd recommend we start with hands in this position. And maybe this is where we stop this evening. So if you look down at your shins, knees are hip width apart. We also want feet hip width apart. So don't have your feet together, don't have them too far apart. So hip width and hip width. Take your hands, press them into your sacrum and spread your fingers nice and wide. So really hold your lower back, like really firmly hold your lower back. From here, we're going to tuck the tailbone down. So we're not arching, we're doing the opposite of arching. Draw your tailbone down, squeeze your elbows towards each other as if you were holding a block in between them. Try to feel your glutes turn on, your hamstrings. And all we're going to do, and it still feels pretty intense for most of us anyway, what we're going to do is slightly press the hips forward and think about lifting your chest and chin up towards the ceiling. So we're lengthening first. Really good. And you can either keep your chin at your chest, or if it feels good for your neck, you can maybe look back behind you, but just be very careful with your neck. We're just going to hold here for 2 more breaths. Elbows squeeze together, hips press forward, cores on. Deep breath in, bring your head back to center, and then sit yourself up, and then sit your hips down and rest. You can turn your palms up or down on your thighs. Relax your upper body, relax your mouth, relax your jaw. Super stuff. Another breath or 2 here. And then from here, we're going to come to lay down on the back. We're going to take some back bends in a supine position or on your back or on your spine even. So in your own time, you can come to lay down on your back. Knees can stay bent. And I'll also ask that you have your strap or your t-shirt, whatever you're using as a strap, nearby. So coming to lay on your back with your knees bent, your feet hip width apart. Lovely. Just take a second to feel the back of your pelvis on the floor, your right hip, your left hip. Try to feel your back muscles just sinking into the ground. Shoulders and neck heavy. Super. And then I'm going to ask that you place your arms down on either side of your hips, palms facing the floor. So arms are long, palms facing the floor. With your feet about hip width apart, then turn your toes slightly in, your heels slightly out. So you kind of duck your feet or pigeon your feet. And then press into the feet and arms. As you breathe in, start to lift your hips away from the floor. So coming into a bridge or a glute bridge as it's known in other practices. As you exhale, then slowly roll your back onto your mat, hips coming down last. Well done, a few more like that. Push into your feet. Inhale, lift your hips, lift your vertebrae. Exhale, rolling down. Imagine you're squeezing a block between your knees. Inhale, pressing up, lifting your spine, using your arms, your glutes, your thighs. Exhale, rolling down. Last time now, and you have the option of pausing or holding at the top of your glute bridge. So push into your feet, lift yourself up, squeeze your thighs onto your imaginary block. And if anyone is familiar with interlacing your fingers behind you, tucking the shoulders underneath you, you are welcome to do that. If you're not sure what that means, then don't worry about it. Stay in the position you're in. And we'll just take about 3 more breaths here. Breathe into your chest. Breathe out of your chest. Well done, lifting a little higher. And then if you interlace your hands, you can move the elbows, slowly roll yourself down, spine, hips, lower back. Well done, beautiful. Take a little rest by joining the soles of your feet together, allowing your thighs to open out or open apart, coming into butterfly pose or reclined Baddha Konasana. Maybe place your hands on your lower hips or pelvis, or you could take your arms back overhead. Just breathing here for about a minute. If you're feeling a pinching in your knees, then just walk your feet a little closer away from you, or a little further away from you even, closer away from you. And we'll just bring the breath again down into your lower belly. Noticing any tension in your face, in your mouth, try to let it go. And then in your own time, you can start to join your knees towards each other. Wrap your arms around the front of your legs. Give yourself a firm squeeze. And then taking your strap or your t-shirt, we're going to keep the left knee bent, but place the left foot on the floor. And then opening out your strap or t-shirt, whatever you're using, or towel, and place it around the ball of your right foot. We're going to try straighten up the right leg. So don't have it too close to you. You can have your leg nice and far away. It might be 90 degrees or it might be further from your head. Separate your hands as if you're holding the reins of a horse. Draw your shoulders back and down and flex your right foot. Making sure you're giving yourself plenty of room on your strap. You're not pulling your leg too much. So we want to straighten up the thigh as best as we can. Oops, sorry about that. Taking a few more breaths here. Shoulders back and down. And then holding onto your strap with just your right hand. Reach your left arm out to the side and slowly open your leg to the side. Lovely, just like that. Well done. Just take 2 breaths here. Right leg opening out, opening up the inner thigh. And then breathe in, come back to the center. Take your strap off your right foot and bend your right knee. So 2 knees bent, feet resting on the floor. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And then swapping sides. Belt around the left foot. Right knee bent, right foot on the floor. Brilliant. Take your hands apart as if you're holding the reins of a horse. Give yourself plenty of room on your belt so that your toes can flex, that your leg can straighten up. Obviously, if you have any sort of injury, you can keep your knee bent. Just breathing here, nice and easy. Opening up your calf, opening up your hamstring. Well done. Final breath. And then strap coming into your left hand only. Reach your right arm away. See if you can open the leg a little bit to the side, but try not to roll off your right side. Try to really press down through the right shoulder and right hip. Deep breath in, deep breath out. You might need to give yourself a little bit more strap in this position if your groins feel tight. One more breath like that. And then inhaling, coming back up. Take your strap off your foot. Bend your knee in towards you and give yourself another hug. Two knees in towards you. Give yourself a nice firm squeeze. If it feels nice, lift your forehead in towards your knees. Breathe into your upper back. And then take your time, lay your head back on the floor, roll over to your side, push yourself up. Well done, coming into a seated position. And you have the option now of sitting on a block or just sitting with your bum on the floor. But if you have a block there and you want to use it and that gives you a little bit more height under your hips, you're welcome to sit on a block. So we're going to start actually with Shavasana. So we're going to start to wind down now, just allowing the back muscles to relax, allowing the, really just the back line of the body to stretch out and relax a little bit after all the bending. So from here, sitting tall on your block, you can bend just your right knee and then open your right knee to the side. So from the front, something like this, coming into Shavasana. You can use your hands and bring your heel in a little bit closer to you, so somewhere up the leg. And then if you like, you can take your belt, if you're using one, and place your belt around the ball of your left foot. That's it. So you don't have to use a belt, by the way. You can rest your hands on the floor or reach towards your foot. So we'll just take a breath in, gently pulling on the belt, sitting up nice and tall. Breathe in. And breathing out, bending your elbows, coming slightly forward and down. If your elbows are very bent, that's just a little signal that you can maybe walk your hands a bit closer to your foot. We won't overstretch here, so just try to relax into it a little bit. If you want to let your head drop down, maybe close your eyes. And doing your best just to relax along your back muscles. One more breath like this. And then pressing into the floor, breathe in, lift your chest and chin. Exhale, sitting up nice and tall. You can bring your right knee in, stretch out your leg, and then bend your left leg. Open your thigh out to the side. So same position, just on the other leg. And then if you want to, you can place your strap around your foot, or you can simply rest your hands on the mat. Breathe in, lift your chest and chin. And then exhaling, stretching forward and then down. Forward and down. Maybe closing your eyes. Breathing in. Breathing out. Try to make less effort. In and out. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms. And when you're ready, pressing your hands down, breathe in, lift your chest up. Lovely. Sitting up tall. You can straighten out your two legs, maybe circling your ankles a couple of times. Lovely stuff. And then you can cross your legs, sit up tall, and we'll just take a gentle twist to the right and left side. So if you're sitting on a block or you're sitting on the floor, just take your right hand almost close to your tailbone, so right behind your pelvis, and place your left hand on your right leg. So left hand crosses, right hand behind you. Press down a little to sit up tall. So breathe in, lift your chest. And breathe out, twisting a little to the right side. Lovely. If you want to, you can look over your right shoulder, but if you feel a strain or pull in your neck, don't do that. And then breathe in as you turn forward again, arms cross the opposite way. Exhale, twisting to your left side. Breathing in through your nose. Breathing out through your nose. Lovely. Slowly coming back to center. Well done. We're going to start to get ready for final relaxation or Shavasana. And I did mention, don't worry if you didn't see it, but I did mention in the event description that you might like to have a chair or couch nearby. So I'm just going to demonstrate on this chair over here. This is just one way that you might like to take Shavasana. So laying on your back and then resting your shins or calves on a height. So it could be the couch, it could be a chair, it could be the side of your bed. You don't have to do this, it's just a suggestion. It's quite relaxing for the back, particularly after so much back work. So feel free to do that. Otherwise, come into any position you find comfortable. That could be lying flat on your back. It could be with your knees bent, your feet on the floor. And just taking a moment to get comfortable. Take a deep breath in through your nose. A deep breath out through your nose. Take a breath in through your mouth. And a breath out through your mouth. Making any final adjustments so that you feel comfortable. If you want to close your eyes or cover your eyes with something, you can. Relaxing your thighs and legs. Relax your hips and your back muscles, your shoulders and your arms. Relax your belly and your chest, your neck, jaw, and mouth. Resting your eyes back in your head. Relaxing the weight of your skull. Feel your whole body resting and still. Beginning to very slowly and gently invite your awareness back. Noticing your body and your breath and however you might be feeling. In your own time, you might like to stretch into your hands and into your feet. Maybe lifting your arms back overhead. Take a full body stretch and a big yawn or sigh. And in your own time, you might like to hug your knees in towards you. Give yourself a squeeze. Rolling carefully onto your side and then pushing yourself up slowly to a seated position. And I invite you to join your hands at your heart, thinking of something that you feel grateful for today. And then placing your thumbs in the space between your eyebrows. We close with the Sanskrit word for peace. Om Shanti. Well done, everybody.